Hello, student. This is your teacher, Mom. Today we're going to talk about the review of adverbs and expressions of frequency. Okay. Remember when we talked before about parts of speech? Okay. You can watch this video. You can watch this video to remember all these parts of speech we talked about, and we watched this video when we were in classes. Okay. This guy has awesome video. He talks about parts of speech, noun, verb, pronoun, adjectives, adverb, conjunction, and more. Okay. So this is what we are going to talk about, the adjectives. So what is this? Sometimes we ask, like this guy here, he is asking, how often do you study English? How often do you study English? This question we ask our friends or family members, okay, to ask about things that we do more than one time during the week, during the day, um, like this. So sometimes we ask, how often do you drink coffee? I drink coffee once a day. Or how often do you go to school? I go to school every day. Okay. So look at this example here. This is the expression of frequency. Expression of frequency. Like we do the thing several times, not only one time, but several times. For another example, how often do you go to Walmart for grocery shopping? I go to Walmart twice a week, or I go to Walmart one time every 2 weeks. Okay, so this is frequency. This is something that we repeat doing. Okay, so this guy is asking his friend here, how often do you study English? I study English 3 times a week. 3 times a week. So, what about you? How often do you study English? You should answer this. Okay? Look at this conversation. Hi, Juan. This is Juan and this is Lola. Okay, let's enlarge this one. So, Lola is talking to Juan. Hi, Juan. What are you doing? I'm studying. How often do you come to the coffee shop? How often do you go or do you come to the coffee shop? 3 times a week. 3 times a week. This is an expression of frequency. He comes or he goes to the coffee shop 3 times a week. So every week he goes to the coffee shop 3 times. Sometimes I study. Sometimes I study. And sometimes I meet friends. And sometimes I meet friends. I never come here to study. I never come here to study. This is also an expression of frequency. Never means not even one time she goes there to study. Why? Because it's always so noisy. Always is an expression of frequency. It's always so noisy. That means there are a lot of people, everybody's talking, and there's a lot of noise going on. So she can't study at the coffee shop. I study at home. I study at home. Okay? So you can log in to Burlington English using your username and password I gave you before, and you can go to this lesson. Let me show you how to get there. Okay, so once you log in, you will see this screen here. You go to courses, and we go to high beginners, in class lessons, and grammar. Okay, then you can answer these questions. Read the conversation we already did. We read the conversation here. Then choose true or false. Juan comes to the coffee shop every day. Juan comes to the coffee shop every day. Is this true or false? True or false? You should answer this question. Juan always studies here. Juan always studies here. Is this true or false? Lola always studies at home. Is this true or false? Okay, you answer these questions, and when you finish, you click check to see if you answered correctly or not. Okay, right. Now, here is the presentation. Review the rules and read the examples. You can see these rules in the packet I sent you, okay, or I gave you. This is the rules. Adverbs of frequency. I, you, he, she, we, you, they. Never, rarely, rarely, sometimes, often, or sometimes you can hear people say often. They're both correct. Usually, always, study, studies, study. At a coffee shop. Okay. So remember, we we changed Y to IE when we talk about the third person, he, she, or it. Okay? He, she, and it. I never study at a coffee shop. We keep it like this. We don't change it. We don't add the IES if we're talking about I, you, we, you, or they. We only change it when we have he and she. Third person. I never study at a coffee shop. You rarely study at a coffee shop. He sometimes studies at a coffee shop. She sometimes or she often studies at a coffee shop. We often study at a coffee shop. You for plural, this one is for singular, and this one is for plural. You usually study at a coffee shop. They always study at a coffee shop. Okay, so this chart here is very helpful. Never means 0%. Never. That means not only one time. I never do that. I never study at a coffee shop. Rarely, that means maybe one time in the whole year, and that's it. I don't do it anymore. Rarely. I use it maybe one time, maybe not. Sometimes. Sometimes. Often. Usually. Always. always is 100%. That means I do this maybe every day, maybe every week, maybe once a month, but I always do that. For example, I never come to work, okay, by bus, or I never walk to my work. I always drive my car to work. I always drive my car to work. You understand? Okay, here are some notes. Put adverbs of frequency after verb be. Do you remember verb be? Is, are, am. Is, are, am. This is verb be. So we always put the adverbs of frequency. We always put them after verb be. Like this example. It is always noisy here. It is, this is verb be. It is always noisy here. You can also use sometimes at the beginning or end of a sentence. We can use it at the beginning or the end of the sentence. Sometimes I study at the coffee shop. I study at the coffee shop sometimes. So if you put it here at the beginning or here at the end, it's both correct. Okay? Okay? So this is the same rule. You already have it in your packet that I handed to you. And the same notes here. If you have any questions, you can always message me through Remind or our Facebook group and ask me this question. Okay, so let's practice. How do these students get to school? Identify how do these students get to school. We're going to read the sentences. We're going to read the sentences here. Okay, and what you're gonna do is select the text. I'm going to do this one for you, and you can do the rest. Okay, and highlight it using this pen here. I often walk to school. I often walk to school. I take the bus when it rains. I take the bus when it rains. Okay, so we need to highlight 6 adverbs. We need to highlight 6 adverbs. So where's the adverb in this sentence or in these 2 sentences? Do we have an adverb? Yes, we do. Often, often. And click on this and it will change to yellow. There we go. I often walk to school. I take the bus when it rains. My husband usually drives me. My husband usually drives me. Sometimes I take the train. Sometimes I take the train. So, do we have any adverbs here? Do we have any adverbs of frequency here? Do the same thing we did here. First, you highlight, or first you select the text, okay? And then you click on this. I live near the school. I live near the school. But I rarely walk there. But I rarely walk there. Okay, where is the adverb of frequency? Select and highlight. I always take the train to school. I always take the train to school. I never take the bus. I never take the bus. Can you find adverbs of frequency in these two sentences? Do the same thing. Highlight or select and then highlight using the pen. And when you finish, you'll click on check and it will show you if you did correctly or you have some mistakes. Okay. Now, we need to rewrite the sentences. Rewrite means write them again. Use the adverbs of frequency. They gave us adverbs of frequency here, and we need to put them in the correct place. So I'm going to do the first one for you, and you can do the rest. So remember, where do we put the adverb of frequency? Where do we put it? Is it before or after verb to be? Here we have verb be. We have verb be. Am is verb be. Is verb be. And are is verb be. So what do we do? I am never hungry in the morning. Okay? I am never hungry in the morning. Okay? Now it's your turn to finish these sentences or to rewrite these sentences. She walks the dog before work. She walks the dog before work. We need to use usually and we need to put it in the right place. If you forget how, you can always go back to the rule here and you can look at it and see where to put the verb or the adverb. I'm sorry. The baby sleeps in the afternoon. Often. We need to put often in the right place. The students write in pencil on tests. The students write in pencil on tests. Use always. Put always in the right place and put it here. My children watch TV on Saturday mornings. My children watch TV on Saturday mornings. We need to use sometimes. She's at work before 8 a.m. She's at work before 8 a.m. We need to use rarely. Put it in the right place. Okay? And when you finish, you can click check. Okay? And here is another practice. Here we need to communicate, ask and answer the questions with a partner. So you can ask any of your children to be a partner with you. You can ask your husband, you can ask your wife, you can ask your brother, your sister, your friend to practice with you. Okay? These questions and answers. You need to use never, rarely, sometimes, often, usually, or always in your answers. You have an example here. How do you learn new words? How do you learn new words? This is a question. I usually write the new words in my notebook. I usually, this is an adverb of frequency. I usually write the new words in my notebook. I practice them at home sometimes. This is another adverb of frequency. I practice them at home sometimes. Remember, with sometimes, we can put it at the end of the sentence or at the beginning. So we can say, sometimes I practice them at home. You can put it here or here. Now look at the questions. How do you learn new words? Now remember, I don't want you to use the same sentences here. I want you to come up with your own sentences. Okay? I want you to think of yourself. How do you learn new words? What do you do? Do you write them in your notebook? Do you write them or type them in your phone? Okay? What do you do? And how do you practice? Who do you ask for help with English? Who do you ask for help with English? Who do you practice speaking English with? Who do you practice speaking English with? Where do you speak English outside of class? Where do you speak English outside of class? Do you read in English outside of class? What do you read? In what language do you watch TV? In what language do you watch TV? Now, what I want you to do, I want you to write these questions on a piece of paper or in your notebooks, okay? And I want you to write answers. Write your answers. Take a picture of them, take a snap, and send it to me, okay? On our Facebook group, or you can send it on Messenger, or you can send it through Remind, okay? Here's another presentation we have. There's another rule. How often? How often? This is the question we use with the adverbs of frequency. How often? With expressions of frequency. Okay? How often do? We use do and does. Do and does. We use does with he and she only. Okay? We don't say how often does you or how often does they. No. Does only with he and she. So how often do you study English? How often does he or she study English? How often do you, for plural, this one is different from this one, this is for singular. And how often do they study English? And we can use these expressions of frequency. Every day, you can say they study English every day. Or you study English every week. She studies English every year. You can use once a week or once a day or once a year. Twice a day, twice a week, twice a year. 3 times a day, 3 times a week, 3 times a year. Okay? You also have this rule in the packet that I sent you. It's right here. Okay? And again, if you have any questions, you can message me and I will answer your question. Okay? And here's another practice. Let me enlarge this one and see. Schedule. Mr. Brown's English class. This is Mr. Brown's English class. Monday, morning class in room 104. On Monday, He has a morning class in room 104. Tuesday, morning class in lab. Morning class in lab. On Wednesday, morning class in room 104. Thursday, afternoon class in room 308 or 308 and 308. Okay, and Friday, morning class in room 308 and then test. Okay, this is Mr. Brown. Say nice to meet you, Mr. Brown. Okay, right. So now, after we looked at the schedule here, Mr. Brown's schedule, we need to answer these questions. How often do the students study English? How often do the students study English? I'm going to answer the first question for you. So, what do you think? How often do the students study English? Remember, Mr. Brown here is an English teacher. So he teaches English. And look at the schedule: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the answer will be A, or let's put this, the students study English every I'm sorry, it got stuck. Every, let's say they, there's not enough space in this, so I'm going to make it short. They study English every day. Okay? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're talking about the students. They study English every day. Okay. How often does the class meet in room 104? How often does the class meet in room 104? You are going to answer all the other questions. How often you can look at the schedule. You can look at Mr. Brown's schedule here to answer these questions. How often do the students practice English in the lab? Again, check the schedule before you answer. How often do the students study English in the morning? How often do the students study English in the morning? Check the schedule and answer the question. How often does Mr. Brown give the students a test? How often does Mr. Brown give the students a test? Check the schedule and answer the question. Okay? And when you do, I would like also from you to take a picture and send it to me so I can see your answers. Okay? And then we have another practice here. Another communication. So you can practice with your children, husband, wife, sister, brother, friend, neighbor, okay? To ask and answer questions and using expressions of frequency in your answers. You will have to use expressions of frequency in your answers. How often do you take the bus? How often do you clean your house? How often do you go to another country? How often do you visit your family? How often do you meet your friends? How often do you exercise? How often do you work? How often do you speak English? And how often do you cook dinner? Okay? And you can look at the example here of these two guys talking to each other or asking and answering questions. How often do you take the bus? How often do you take the bus? Twice a week. How often do you take the bus? Twice a week. How often do you take the bus? I never take the bus. I have a car. I never take the bus. I have a car. So twice a week here is an expression of frequency. Expression of frequency, twice a week. And here, this guy used never. Never. I never take the bus. I have a car. Okay? Also, I need you to write down these questions every time. How often do you take the bus? How often do you clean the house? And so. Okay? And write down your answers on a piece of paper or in your notebooks and take a picture and send it to me. Okay? Here's a review. What do you need to do here is to correct the error. Correct the error. And error means mistake. Okay? In each sentence, according to the grammar in the lesson. Right. So each one of these sentences, we have 5 sentences. Each sentence of these has a mistake. There's something wrong. Okay? So what we need to do is to correct the sentence. Correct the sentence. Bob studies often for tests with friends. Bob studies often for tests with friends. I'm going to do the first one for you, and then you need to do the rest. So, Bob, what do you think? Where do we put the adverb of frequency? Before or after the verb? We put it after, or before, I'm sorry, we put it before the verb. So, Bob studies for tests with friends. Did you see that? We changed it. There's the verb, and there's the adverb of frequency. We switched places because the adverb of frequency comes always before the verb. Bob often studies for tests with friends. Now you need to do the rest 2, 3, and 4 and 5. Nicole and her husband eat meat never. So, where is the adverb of frequency and where should we put it? Bill rarely is late for class. Bill rarely is late for class. How are you going to correct this sentence? How often Bruno work at the restaurant? How often Bruno work at the restaurant? There is something wrong with this sentence or this question. You need to correct it and put it here. Okay. Kathy Kathy phones her mother one time a day. Kathy phones her mother one time a day. So there's something wrong with this sentence. You need to correct it and put it here. And again, I would like you to take a picture after you finish writing your sentences. Take a picture and send it to me. Okay? So this is our lesson for today. I hope we'll see you soon. Have a nice day.